Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are breaking down my top 10 favorite movies of the year. Now before I get into it, keep in mind that these are my favorite movies of the year and not necessarily what I think were the best. I feel like I need to say this because my number one spot is controversial to say the least. But before I forget, here is a list of films I have yet to see, and I am only showing films that I've seen other people talk about in high regard. If I feel like they belong here after seeing them, then I'll update the list in the comments and over on X, so make sure to follow me over there. I did not have high hopes for Fantastic Four, but it was a much more enjoyable film than I expected. A lot of people are tired of Pedro Pascal because he is in almost everything nowadays, but him as Mr. Terrific fits pretty perfectly. I mean, the main characters have much better chemistry than previous Fantastic Four renditions, and they did a good job showing everyone's abilities right before Avengers Doomsday. The CGI for the most part was good, but there were a couple of times it was sticking out like a sore thumb. Honestly, this is one that could easily drop out of my top 10. I really enjoyed Zach Cregger's decision to tell this story multiple times but from different points of view. Sometimes films use this technique but never end up adding anything to the story, so it can be a complete waste of time after the first 30 minutes. But I'm happy to say that it was not the case with Weapons. This film was good, but not good enough to make it higher on my list. Bring Her Back was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, not because the trailer was amazing or anything. I mean, it was a fine trailer, but mainly because of the directors Danny and Michael Philippou. I really liked their first feature film, so I was interested to see how they would follow up on that, and let me just say I like this one a whole lot more. Sally Hawkins, who plays Laura, was just amazing, and it's been a while since I've truly hated a character, and I mean that as a compliment. I don't know if she will get any nominations this year, but I would like to see it happen. The body horror in this film also really got to me, specifically both occasions where Oliver chews on a knife and a table, and the credit for that can go to the sound design, but overall I really enjoyed this film and I'll be looking forward to whatever Danny and Michael do next. The Long Walk managed to make a movie about walking interesting. It's another Stephen King adaptation, this time about a group of men walking endlessly until there is only one left, winning a wish and a cash prize. The chemistry between David Johnson and Cooper Hoffman is just undeniable. They were definitely my favorite duo this year, and I've got to say, I mean, David Johnson, wow. I first saw him in Alien Romulus and I remember thinking there was something there with this guy. You can just tell when there is a star in the making, but in The Long Walk, he really cemented himself as one of the most promising actors in Hollywood. If he were to get an Oscar nomination, and that is a big if, I would honestly be very happy with it. I will say there were parts in the film that I think dragged on for a little too long, but again, it is about walking, so. I'm not sure how the book ended, but I am glad that they used Peter McVerie's wish for the carbine. A lot of films tend to go with a happy ending, in this case wishing for 2 winners for future long walks, but I'm glad they didn't go with that. F1 is just a fun movie. Yes, the story is one of the most generic stories there is, with an old-timer coming back and having to guide the young rookie, but the camera work and visuals in this are definitely the best for this kind of film. The viewer is really submerged onto the track, and as a Formula 1 enjoyer, it was just awesome to see. Damson Idris is another one of those actors who I think has great potential, and Brad Pitt just delivered another one of his classic performances. Although the story is as basic as it is, I was caught off guard during the crash scene. The way everything went quiet just added a whole lot more to it, and for a second I thought JP actually did die and that they were gonna take this story into a different direction, which would have been interesting to see, but nah, it was a basic story. I still don't know what to make of one battle after another. I was so thrown off at the beginning of the film with Perfidia and Colonel Stephen Lockjaw's relationship. Honestly, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I compared this film to Marty Supreme in the way that it's all over the place, but in the best ways possible. The film has a lot of energy, and Leonardo DiCaprio was a lot of fun. He definitely delivered one of the strongest performances of the year, so I expect him to be a strong contender for the Oscars this year. Chase Infinity as Willa Ferguson and Sean Penn as Colonel Lockjaw both delivered strong performances and should be contenders for Best Supporting Actors. Eternity has to be my surprise movie of the year. I knew nothing about this film until my girlfriend suggested we go watch it, so I went in with pretty low expectations. It turned out to be a very hilarious film with a lot of emotional depth to it. The basic premise of the film is choosing how you want to spend eternity in the afterlife and with whom. The chemistry between Miles Teller, Elizabeth Olsen, Callum Turner, John Early, and Divine Joy Randolph was just incredible, especially with the last two. A lot of films lean heavily into the comedic side of things, not leaving much room for anything else, but this had a perfect balance of comedy and sincerity. Sinners was almost like two different movies, with the first half being about a pair of brothers coming back to their hometown to build this business together which their community can enjoy, and the second half about bloodthirsty vampires trying to destroy everything that they've built, all because someone can play music really well. And when I put it like that, it sounds like a film that shouldn't be in the top 3, but it was actually really good, and I think it has cemented director Ryan Coogler as one of the best talents in Hollywood today. Michael B. Jordan also delivers, I think, the most layered performance of his career, which hopefully results in an Oscar nomination, and Jack O'Connell as well was just fantastic as Remick. The music and visuals are definitely the strong points of this film, and everyone talks about that scene in the juke joint, and I mean, how can you not? It's the scene that ties the storylines together, and I think it'll go down as one of the scenes that people look back on each year. If any of you watched my last video, you'll know how much I enjoyed Marty Supreme. It's a film about someone who makes a lot of bad decisions in life in pursuit of chasing their dreams, but ultimately they see this light at the very end. Or at least that's what we hoped happened. The pacing throughout was fantastic and the characters grow on you as the film goes on. I think Timothée Chalamet will be lifting the Oscar for Best Actor come award season, just narrowly beating Leonardo DiCaprio. I remember last year he got a lot of hate over his speech at the SAG Awards, which I never understood why it was a bad thing for someone to speak about their goals in life. If anything, I think we should celebrate this kind of ambition, and I mean, if we're being honest, Timothée Chalamet does have the potential to be one of the greats. But anyway, his performance as Marty Mauser was incredible, and it's one of the main reasons why Marty Supreme comes second in my top 10. 28 years later. Yep, that is my favorite movie of the year. Now, I know there are a lot of mixed reviews, but apart from the ending, which we all know was just odd, I loved everything about this film, even the trailer, which I thought was also the best of 2025. There were a few bold choices when it came to the editing style, in particular the 360 view when killing the infected. I thought that was pretty neat. But similar to Eternity, a reason why I loved this film was the amount of unexpected emotional depth that it had. It was not a traditional zombie movie where the story is purely focused on surviving the infected. In a way, it was more of a coming-of-age film, and I've got to say the performance from Alfie Williams showed a lot of maturity. This film also contains my favorite scene of 2025, where Spike accepts the death of his mother. I thought the acting from Alfie perfectly captured this quiet weight of grief, and it really drove home the idea of how people grow up when the world gives them no other choice. And of course, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Ralph Fiennes, and Jodie Comer were all great. 28 years later, The Bone Temple releases this month, and I am very excited. There are already some early reviews and they've all been positive, so that is a very, very good sign. Anyways, those were my top 10 films of the year. I'll have the order up on screen now, and if any of you have not watched any of these, I would highly recommend doing so go out there and form your own opinion. Thank you everyone for watching, and I wish you all the best in 2026.